Hello, this is George. I'm going to continue with the 100-day art projects, and I'm going to. Ooh, okay. I'm going to work on the list. It's 12 list, and I rolled an 8. I used a 12-sided die from when I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. Um, so 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, so I'm going to do numbers. So I recently posted a post in my community tab asking for your favorite number. And I don't know what you chose, but the more the majority of people, maybe you, chose the number 3. So I'm going to use this background that I did for my free 100-day video art challenge, and let's start. I used the square shape for this one. I want to before we start, I want to apologize because apparently they are doing construction in another unit, so they're pounding and screwing in some stuff. So normally I have some conversations with you, but while I do the right now I am just doing some shape layout. So anyway, I figured that the easiest would be not a lot of, like, hopefully you can hear this, but I'm going to limit the amount of talking also going to be using my Statler 8 pigment liner set. I'm applying some detail with the pencil as a kind of flower arrangement. see. A little bit of Doodle here. Kind of equal. And keeping with the theme of 3. So we have 3 flowers and 3 orbs. And I'm not very concerned about the dimensions of the elements. It will all come together. I'm beginning with the 1.0, which is really thick nib. Let's see. And I'm changing it up like I always do. And I'm using my phone for my camera, and it has a tendency to be more interested in my hand versus the things that I'm drawing. So occasionally there might be some blurriness, so sorry about that. Okay. And let's go in with the thick nib and outline the number 3. So I'm going with this in my freehand mode, but if you have a stencil, you can use that, whatever is easiest for you. And let's go with the number 07 to ink in the border of the triangle. So, what's your favorite number? So, if I get to do another number, I'll have a heads up as far as what's one to do. Leave me a comment in the comment section below, That way, we're all happy. So I think it's going to be okay if I use my kneaded eraser. Just make sure your ink is dry. And I was thinking that I want to play again with my Turner acrylic gouache like I did on this one. So I'm going to use the same palette as before. And all this is dry, so I don't have to worry about it reactivating. I was using regular gouache, I wouldn't be able to because it would reactivate. I like using gouache on top of watercolor because the watercolor is very translucent, whereas gouache, and these are the colors that I'm going to be using, but when the gouache dries, it has a matte finish. So I'm going to be using a limited palette again, permanent scarlet, permanent lemon, Prussian blue, yellow ochre, and white. I'm going to do a little bit of a dollop on the palette and I will be back. One of the good things about gouache is you can water it down and use it to create blends like you would in acrylics or watercolor. I assume like oil, but I don't do oil. My parents, when I was younger, bought me an oil set because they know I like art, so they figured I would be able to use the oil, but I had never used oil before, so I didn't know how to use it. Use it all in one sitting, not really realizing that I had to let things dry. But as I was saying, to use I think of 3 as being representative of growth and in nature. So I'm going to be using a lot of green. I should have started this flower after I had painted that one. But you live and learn. Again, with the Turner, you don't really need a lot of pigment. To choose what you want to do. So whereas this is like color blocking, this one is more and remember, have a paper towel close by so you can wipe off your brush. Put some red here. And add a little bit of yellow to blend it out. And then more pure yellow to get it more oomph, as it were. And depending upon the size of your brush, you can work it together. So I'm going to let it dry a bit, and I'll be back. I'm mixing a bit of yellow, blue, and some whites. Kind of. Okay, and then a bit of yellow ochre. Bit of yellow water. and change it up a bit so it's not so samey. And don't worry about going over lines. We'll deal with it later on. Now again, I'm using the rough paper, Arches Rough, and most gouaches or gouache artists tend to use smooth. So I'm going to go in here again because it's really a different value as opposed to the other green areas. Okay, so let's go in with a little bit of blue. And a little bit of yellow. So see how opaque that is? If I were to do it in watercolor, you wouldn't be able to cover it up. So it looks like I'm doing black, but I'll show you. I'm actually doing mauve. kind of a shadow. But because I'm mixing using the same palette, it's more unified. And the good thing about wash is the color shifts isn't that bad. This is officially part of the ugly stage, but carry forward and work through it. You'll still be able to learn what not to do because it doesn't work. I'm getting a lot of water on my brush after going in with pigments. And again, don't worry about going over the lines. I'm going to, sorry about that. I'm going to apply a little bit of ink when I'm done. So, what to do with the orbs? I have an idea. A bit more whites, more water. A bit more white still. And more white still. And a little bit more of the dark. And a touch of white. Going to go in with a little bit broader rinsed in round 4 in a lot of water. Kind of a wash. Remember to clean your brush after you use the gouache or any paint. I suggest just like Dawn soap because it's very gentle on your brushes. So I'm treating it as watercolor by thinning it out. Okay, I added a little bit of white here, and I'm going to a little bit of lemon yellow. And hopefully come up with a nice good, okay. And a bit of white. And add some contrast